The three focus areas for the budget should be: number one, focus on revival of the investment cycle. Government has taken an initiative to push infrastructure investments, and that should be given a further boost in the coming fiscal year. Reason for that is infrastructure investment is positive for rest of the economy because it has huge multiplier effects, and also it also encourages private investment. Private investments are yet to rebound. The second focus area for the budget should be on employment generation and supporting the vulnerable part of the population. That it can do by extending support to the rural areas through the Manrega scheme, and for the urban areas, a similar scheme can be envisaged. Number three, construction is the most labor intensive sector in India, and I think it isn't doing great. I mean, the GDP in construction was merely 1.3% higher than the pre-pandemic levels. So I think the revival of this sector will also have multiplier effects on the economy, and it will also generate employment. I would like to make 4 points here. Point number one, we are still trying to understand the impact Omicron will have on the economy. But one thing is sure, it has injected uncertainty into the outlook for the last quarter of the current fiscal year, which is January to March quarter. And uncertainty, we know, is bad for business and it's bad for consumer confidence. The point number two I wanted to make was that the contact based services, which have been hammered by each wave, will get hammered again, and we are seeing signs of that. Contact based services GDP is still about 8 to 9% below its pre pandemic levels. The point number three I wanted to make was that despite the fact that we are getting successive waves of COVID 19, we've also learned to live with the virus. And now that is getting facilitated by the fact that we have increasing levels of vaccination. Almost 50% of the population is vaccinated now. So, as a result, each successive wave is less damaging to the economy than the previous one. The point number four is on the outlook. We expect around 9% GDP growth in the current fiscal year, which is 21-22, and for the fiscal year 22-23, we expect growth at 7.8%. One difference between 21-22 and 22-23 will be that by 22-23, we expect the virus to get successively weaker and permit rebound in the contact based services. So the growth will be more broad based in the coming fiscal year. A flexible fiscal approach which envisages a gradual reduction in fiscal deficit over the medium run can create the needed fiscal space. Both the Finance Commission as well as the IMF have visualized a gradual reduction in fiscal deficit over the next couple of years, and I think the budget should be following a similar approach. This will create the needed fiscal space for additional spending, particularly in the infrastructure area. The second thing they can do is to focus more on privatization, divestments, and asset monetization. This will help unlock the idle resources in the economy. Three risks for 2022 are as follows. COVID-19 remains the number one risk. COVID has been dented but not defeated as yet. As long as large parts of the world's population remain unvaccinated, the risk of newer mutation always exists. The second risk is from the actions of systemically important central banks like the US Fed. The US Fed was surprised by surge in inflation, and it in turn surprised the markets by moving forward its guidance on tapering and also announcing that it could raise interest rates 3 times in 2022. This creates risk for emerging markets like India. The currency markets become more volatile, and also the capital flows can dry up. The third risk is from domestic inflation. We have seen that input costs have remained high. We've also seen that core inflation continues to remain sticky. As the growth gets more broad-based in 22-23, the risk of faster transmission of input costs increases into the consumer prices always remains.